How you doing? It's Criminal Minded here, and today's video is going to be an apology, an apology to numerous of people as a collective, as a group, and this idea came to me when I was listening to the audio tape of the audio book of 12 Years of Slavery. It's a new movie coming out. It's a black man who directed it, talking about another black man who was so-called free in America and was captured by some 2 or 3 white men, or was conned by 2 or 3 white men to come with them somewhere, and in return they rewarded him with 12 years of slavery without his knowledge, of course, to go take it to the South. And it's very interesting. If you got time, go on YouTube and listen to the book, and also help promote the movie by going to see it or speaking of it by word of mouth, so that other black people can be put up on black history. You know, we need more knowledge on black history, even though that's not our only history. Our history is very vast. Black people, we've got a great rich history, but that was one of the lowest points of our history, and we have to always look at the low so that we never get that low again. You know, the book damn they brought me to tears, and that's why I have to do this video. And I'm in tears now as I speak about it. It's deep, you know. But my point is that I think as an African, coming from Africa, the motherland, I have to make an apology to my Caribbean brothers and my American brothers and my South American brothers too. And the apology is on behalf of Africans who feel ashamed of the outcome of our stupidity. I'm sorry. Or should I say we're sorry. We're sorry because we're sorry for the situation that we have contributed in putting ourselves in. We're sorry for making our tribal differences make us go so low to the point where we were willing to do what we did. You know, we're sorry for not having the foreseen vision of what the white man intention was, even though we was warned by numerous of spiritual leaders. I mean, I'm from the Ashanti tribe, and 2 of our great spiritual leaders tried to forewarn the chiefs of the white man's intention, but I think greed and seeking acceptance. I can't speak for the chiefs because I wasn't there at the time, but I'm guessing, because even one of our spiritual leaders got beheaded for speaking bluntly to the chiefs that they're going to be, if they're not careful, they're going to be under the foot of the white man. But the chiefs did not foresee what the spiritual leader was foreseeing, and for that they killed him for his blasphemous talk. So the story goes. Anyway, I've forgotten the spiritual leader's name. I've got the book somewhere. Some other time I'll make another video about that, no problem. But this video is an apology to my African brothers, who's in America, who's in South America, who's in the Caribbean. I went to Elmina Castle in Ghana. That was in 2008. Me, my brother, my uncle. And when we went to that castle, we discovered that out of the 32 forts that was built in Africa. I think 32 or 36, I'm not sure. But out of the 32 or 36, 24 of them was built in Ghana alone. And we was told by the tour guide that majority of the Africans that was taken as slaves come from Ghana. If you go to the Caribbean, if you go to South America, if you go to North America, you know, I mean, it only makes sense. So which means that we were just capturing each other, you know. And I'd like to apologize for that, you know, because as we was fighting one another and capturing one another, and please don't get me wrong, this situation that we're in was caused by every tribe. It wasn't just a one particular tribe. Basically what happened was, like, we would go to war, and whoever was the victor, we would put them into slavery. We will cast them into slavery because we foresaw them as to be our even though you guys were our brothers, we foresaw you guys as the enemy at the time because of the tribal differences. That wasn't the only thing that was done. Some tribal chiefs was given ultimatum. Either his tribe was put in captivity, or he and his warriors go to neighboring tribes and capture them into captivity, basically. So there was a lot of a lot of backstabbing was going on. Even before the white man came, the Arabs used to do that. In certain parts of Sudan, there was a deal where every year, the chief would have to give up a certain amount of his people to slavery, or him and his whole tribe would go into slavery. You know, because that was the terms of negotiation of defeat when it came to war. If you was defeated, there were certain things you have to give up to maintain your tribal chiefdom. You know, and I'm not justifying nothing that was done. Trust me, I'm not. You know, but the point I'm trying to make to you is this, right? It's like how do I put this? Majority of these decisions were made by the chiefs of the tribe, the leaders of the tribe. Whether the tribes were cool with what was going on or not, that was not the point. That was besides the point. The point was the chief has spoken. The chief had the full control of the people. So what the chief wanted to be done was to be done. Now I'm not saying all the chiefs was done with slavery. A lot of African chiefs fought against slavery. You know. In fact, I believe the term freedom fighters came from tribal chiefs who was fighting to stop slavery, or Africans being captured into slavery. That was the term that was used for them, was freedom fighters, you know. But I'm giving a sincere apology here, and I'm apologizing for two things. I'm apologizing because it was very stupid, very naive, very stubborn, and very self-centered. And the self-centered comes from being very tribalistic. And we did not see the plan that the white man and the Arabs had, which was not tribalistic but more of coloristic. I mean, like, it was more racistic, you know. And what I also want you guys to know is, as you guys was being put through all the hardship punishments and mistreatment by the whites and the Arabs in Africa, they was conquering us. I often tell people that slavery and colonization in a way is not much difference. You know, I mean, if you check in Namibia, the Germans came, they built slave dungeons. It was actually like a slave Holocaust prison camps, where they target a particular tribe who was fighting against their dominance. You know, you can check that on YouTube. It's called the Second Reich. That was before these so-called white Jews was put in the concentration camps. You know what I mean? So a lot of things was going on in Africa. As you guys was going through your hell, we had our own hell to face. You know, but at the same time, I mean, look, the effect of what the decision that we made today is still evident today in Africa. Africa is fucked today. It's really fucked. And the community that the black Americans are in is fucked. If you go to the Caribbean, it's fucked. The community where the South Americans live is fucked. So really and truly, the Arabs and the whites made a conscious plan to globally dominate the black race. So in this very moment of time, neither one of us is better off than the other. Yes, I would admit that the African Americans are more mentally and technologically more advanced than the rest of us, and also the Southern Americans and the Caribbeans too. The reason why it is like that is because, like, when it comes to the music, the fashion, the technology, the science, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's still smart and great scientists coming from Africa, but it does not compare to the great historians and scientists and technological geniuses that has come from out of Africa, which is primarily from African Americans. And that's because the tour guide told us that majority of the time, only the strongest of the captured Africans would survive the journey. We're not talking about the journey from Africa to America or to South America or to the Caribbean. We talk about the journey from their tribal home to the forts. I mean, from where I'm from the Ashanti region, right? And from Ashanti to the coast of Accra, which is the capital, it will be a 6 to 7 hours drive. I'm talking about 80 to 90 miles per hour drive. It will take 6 to 7 hours. And then from the capital Accra to Elmina Castle is another 6 to 7 hour drive. I'm talking about driving. So can you imagine how long that would be for a captured African who's been put to slavery? Some of these Africans were women who were pregnant. Some of them were children. The tour guide person told us that sometimes it will take two months, sometimes more, to make it to the Elmina Castle. And I'm not laughing because I'm laughing out of shock and sadness, you know. So please pardon me if you hear me laughing, you know. But yeah, it will take 2 to 3 months, and those that would not make it will get killed on the way by the capturers. Usually they were Africans themselves. The white man wouldn't himself go into the deep parts of Ghana to capture no Africans, you know, and that's the deepness of it. That's the deepness of the situation, and I'm hurt by this revelation, and I don't really have a problem with certain African Americans being hurt by that, you know. If you check on YouTube, there's a YouTube there's a YouTube video called a prince put in slavery, and I think that's from the I think a prince from the Mali region. He was captured and put into slavery. And what was funny was the prince would tell you that he himself, they would go to war with their fellow tribesmen, capture them and sell them into slavery, only to be put into the same fate. And the reason why I brought this up about the prince is to let you know that it was a two-party situation, you know, and it's still going on today with the Crips and Bloods, the Gangster Disciples and the Black Disciples, this and that, this gang and that gang, this revolution movement against this revolution movement, this black power conscious person against this black power conscious person. And to be honest with you, I think it's time we really trying to change that aspect of us, you know. The white people was able to come beyond the tribesmen, Vikings versus the Normans and all this crazy shit. They found a common ground which has united them, and I'm hoping we can do the same. I mean, I have nothing against African American. In fact, I was brought up on African American culture. My favorite music is rap, and that's primarily because the drum pattern that you guys play. When I was growing up in Ghana, in Africa, that's the kind of drum pattern I used to hear when like they were doing celebration, like a cultural drum pattern for the chiefs and the kings. When there was a celebration in the town, the drummers would be going through the town playing the African culture drum, and it was very similar. I kid you not, very extremely similar to the drum patterns in the hip hop game. You know, they'll have like sometimes there'll be like 20 rows of drums, different sizes, different shapes, different patterns, and they'll be playing. One will be loud, one will be more aggressive, one will be more thumping, more earth shaking, more heart drenching. Like it would take over your heartbeat. Like it was different, but it was very aggressive. Sometimes you need like a big henchman to play the drum pattern. So I became a lover of hip hop, you know, especially hip hop with a very aggressive drum pattern. You know, I like you guys, the way you guys dress and whatnot, the clothes. You guys has really shaped and helped awoken a lot of us Africans. You know, I mean, like even when I was in Ghana, I left Ghana when I was 9. I didn't know that slavery started in Ghana. I mean, I watched the roots in Ghana, but I was very young. I didn't understand it. Nor was I taught about it in school. Only now we have been taught about it in school in Ghana. But when I was growing up, it wasn't like that. It wasn't taught about it. In fact, when I first came into England, and I'll get my African Caribbean brothers attacking me and calling me names, saying you African this, you African that, and you guys sold us into slavery, whatnot. I didn't understand it. It never made sense to me until I gradually start investigating, and I became aware of what's going on and what has gone on, you know. And I totally understand your frustration. I totally understand, but I think it's time we all start building. Africans and African. I mean, look, I guarantee you, if you come to any streets in Africa, you guys fashion, you guys music, you guys way of life is very predominant. It may not be the same as you guys, but it is built off of you guys. You know, and I'm not talking about just Africans in America. I'm talking about Africans in the Caribbean. You know what I mean? The ragga music, the way you guys dress, your sense of representation. I mean, all of that is being mimicked. And that's because the strongest of us was the one that was taken into slavery. You know? The really, really strongest of us. You have to be strong to survive the jungles of Ghana for 2 months straight. To come to that fucked up castle for another 2 months before you get aborted into a fucked up ship on the basement of a fucked up ship for another 2 months. You know, to be sold into slavery for God knows how long. You have to be very strong to obtain all of that kind of punishment, to endure that kind of punishment. You have to be strong. It's not for the weak. It's not for the weak. You know, you have to be really strong to survive all that kind of shit. And also on top of that, to still come out and create some stuff, create paint, peanut butter, railway inventions, you know, all these type of inventions. You still go into your mind and just like go into your memory bank and do this. It's a beautiful thing, and it's something to admire, and it's something to see yourself as of greatness, to create all these different type of music that was not around, and even if it was around, it wasn't around when slavery started. So you guys are geniuses, man. You know, great things. And what's funny is that you guys are not getting rewarded for it or getting credited for it. Your captors are the one that's getting the reward. The white man and these motherfuckers are the one that's reaping the benefits and the reward of you guys' power. Because it is power. You have to be a powerful person to sustain and survive that kind of torture and punishment. Your spirit has to be very strong to maintain that kind of punishment and still come out with your head up high. Yes, you're gonna have a lot of people. You're gonna have a lot of us who's gonna be in mental fucked up states. Listen, trust me when I tell you, the same mental illnesses that's in America, that my African American brothers are facing, that's in the Caribbean, that my African Caribbean brothers are facing, that's in South America, that my South American brothers are facing, is in Africa. The Africans are facing. They're bleaching skin, they want to be white, they want to be accepted by white, by thinking white is better, by thinking Arabs is better, by thinking everything is better but blacks is in Africa. We've all been overconquered, we've all been overpowered by these two races, the white races and the Arab races. You know? And I'm just gonna keep this short. I've been on here for over 20 minutes now, so I'm gonna end this shit. And I'm gonna say that my African American brothers, my African Caribbean brothers, my South American brothers, sorry, we all share the same struggle. Colonization and slavery was not very much different. You know, there was all concentration camps. The only difference was the colonization concentration camp was a bit bigger than the slavery concentration camps. The slavery concentration camps was more scattered, by different owners, you know, different slave owners, you know. In the colonization part, it was more of a big, like a country size of concentration camp, was based on the countries. When they split us into countries, was when yes, that became the concentration camp. You know, Congo, Ghana, Nigeria, Ivory Coast, you know, South Africa. Those were concentration camps. You know what I'm saying? So like we understand your pain, we understand your frustration, we understand your anger, and it's good. It's time as black people we start talking about this shit. It's time we start airing out our differences and trying our best to come with solutions, you know, and not hold the weight and hold grudge and hold feelings so that cause more of a rift and more of a separation, you know. And I'm happy that the white man created YouTube, because now with YouTube we could express ourselves as individuals, and through our individual expression we could create a collective awareness, you know. But with that said, I gotta go, you know. But I'm always like I always say, stay up and beware of treachery motherfuckers, criminal minded, and I'm all like I stole something. Peace.